everybody, this is Wendy and Dave from Be Do Learn Have Live, and we're continuing our story from about December 2017, and I'm going to pass it on to Dave because that's where his book writing first came up.
Alrighty then, okay. In December, while Wendy was doing her Matrix course with Bob Proctor, I ended up, I think the day before, going to an event for Paul Fink, which I did briefly touch on before. And Paul Fink is a business person who I didn't really know, and I'd signed up to his course as part of another one that I'd signed up to through my Quantum Leap program. It was here that I happened to meet a couple of friends of ours who live in Toronto, so we see them on a fairly regular basis right now. His course was offering his mentoring process, which I wasn't in a position at that particular point to sign up for. He was also talking about book writing, and I did mention to him that as soon as I got back from Warrior, I essentially sat down for a period of 3 or 4 weeks. What I considered, I wrote a book. It was 23 pages or something at that point on a Word document, so it wouldn't be huge. But it was, I just felt right in that moment inspired to write this book. And so Paul was saying to me, well, how does that appear in the rest of your life? You know, throwing this kind of gently back in my face as a good coach and mentor should. And saying, okay, well, you know, what is this doing for you? If you've essentially written a book and then not done anything with it, like how many other things are you leaving on the table? So I was like, okay, challenge accepted here. I need to get my book out. Although Paul was coming out with a book writing course himself, he wasn't ready to launch it at that point, so I didn't move any forward on that, left his event, and went to another one a couple of weeks later called Never Work Again, which is another one of the Success Resource courses. And on that one, they have a number, probably about half a dozen speakers who come in and talk about different programs and what offerings they have to come up with the elusive passive income or some other process or career, job, whatever you could get into to start making money on your own and work forward with it. One of them happened to be a speaker called Raymond Aaron, who does have a book writing course. And seeing as my mind was kind of queuing this one over, going, okay, yeah, I need to get this done. Well, the package he actually offered seemed to be very reasonable and came at the right time. Excuse me. So at that moment in time, I actually signed up to his program, which was then going to start. He had like an online course or something that would start in a couple of weeks. Well, this is around Christmas, so this didn't really happen until January. So in January, I started getting his online program called 10-10-10 for writing a book. And it's actually an awesome program. And it seemed to be a whole lot more natural to me to follow his program, write the book, and everything else. Needless to say, I also had a little bit more passion around this particular book project. So it felt a lot more me than the other book that we'd already started writing for our plumbing business back in the summer. And from there, I started this program, and the idea of the 10-10-10 is you write 10 chapters in 10 weeks. No, you have 10 chapters.
10 hours.
10 hours. In 10 hours, yeah. 10 chapters in 10 hours, and you get it published in 10 weeks. As it turned out, I didn't get my book published in 10 weeks. It took a little bit longer than that, but not much. And that was more down to me getting caught up in a few other bits and pieces and having time. And then I also went back for a re-edit and a rejig of the formatting, which all takes time, so it added up. But otherwise, I think I was probably pretty darn close to getting this book done in 10 weeks. And I had actually used the framework from my prior book that I'd kind of supposedly written back in May of the year as my starting point, although essentially I ended up rewriting the entire book, so my first one can now probably get turned into an ebook, which is something that I will do at some point soon. So with that, this is my book. This came out in March
No,
April?
no, it was early May, I think.
Early May, okay. Early May, I guess, is when I physically got my copies of this, although it was actually done and dusted probably in early April. And we'll get onto that. So
Yeah.
whether we'll talk about the book a little bit more, but anyway, that's achievement down. That was pretty cool.
Right. So then in March March of this year, we went to our first global mastermind program, which is put on by Success Resources America, and that program costs.
That was 30,000, which I did mention, I believe, in a prior
That was
video.
for both
but
of us, right?
that's for both of us to get into at that moment in time. Since then, the price has gone up, as everything does.
So this we're committed to. It's 4 events in 18 months.
Yes.
And we're actually planning on getting all of them done this year. So GMP Global Mastermind Program was in March in San Diego, which was my first throw at a Success Resources event, and it was actually really awesome. So the event actually had about 40 people there, and there's a lot of masterminding goes on. You split up into groups, and we talk about what we want from the group, what our burning thing is right now that we want the group to help us with. And we also actually work on building a business as well, on paper, figuring out all the finances, seeing if it will go or not, and then we present it to the rest of the team. We also have a give back day. So as you may know, in personal development, to be a better person, you need to give back to people as well. So we have a give back day, and this one was at Father Joe's Villages in San Diego, which is a homeless little city. Actually, it's about 4 or 5 blocks deep, and we were there just helping the maintenance crew do painting. So Dave and I were painting curbs and lines and walls in a parking garage, and it's actually a lot of fun. We had a great time. And what we got out of that, or what I got out of that week, was new friends, a new way of looking at things. It was just a great week. It was fantastic, and a lovely city. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to do much spending any time there. I was desperate to go and see the Pacific Ocean because I haven't actually seen it yet, and I still didn't get close. We were right on the coast, but I still didn't get to see it or put my finger in it or whatever. So that'll be the next GMP at the end of the year, probably. Definitely. But
That's right.
What did you take out of it? GMP number 1.
It was great. This was also the first time that, for logistical reasons, we weren't able to stay in the hotel where they were hosting the event, so we actually stayed at one nearby. So from that, we actually got to enjoy the neighborhood a lot more and saw, I guess, some of the real space. We also enjoyed just walking between hotels and back. What did I get out of that? Yes, actually, this was probably the first real group give back session. It was tremendous. Wendy says it was a village, and the bits we were working in were more for homeless families, which you don't tend to think of. You think of the people who lay in their bags on the side of the road, but these were for actual families, with young kids that got kicked out of their house for whatever reason, or just didn't have a house to start with, and then they got on a list and got in here. So we were trying to keep their environment fresh and happy, positive for the families and their kids growing up in this environment, as well as it being safe. And that was just a cool session itself.
San Diego was, I think it's the second or the first homeless city for most homeless people in that city in North America, probably.
Per capita, and that's because the temperature is nice all year round, and it's a lovely environment. So lots of good reasons for that, but it's a really unfortunate place to be in. And part of us not having the fun of Wendy going to stick her feet or her fingers in the Pacific Ocean is purely because we're still coming off and trying to very closely limit our spending on anything, because we've already had a cash crunch from the amount of spending we're doing on flights and everything else. Now let's see, I guess one other major point was in saying that back in December or October, after we'd done Bob Proctor's course, one of his things that he came up with was that you are the reason that you earn what you earn, and that everybody should be able to double their income in a year. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I made a point at that moment in time to say, okay, by this time next year, with all this stuff we're learning and everything else, I want to ensure that we are earning twice what we're getting paid right now, which still puts us probably in about the realms of where we should be for our business. So in January, Wendy and I talked about it and said, okay, let's do this. We kind of had a fingers crossed moment, because how are we doing this? And the intent was that for every month I was going to increase my pay, or our pay, proportionately, so that by the end of the year we will actually be double our wage. So what this does is, at this point in time, it does give us a little bit of relief and starts helping us to actually live within our means and not spend beyond. But it actually has taken quite a lot of time to even get to that point. So even in May, we're probably just about living to our means, as it were, and with all these other expenses that keep coming up with personal development stuff. All extremely worthwhile. This is why we're doing it. We're not just spending to be crazy. This is what's going on.
Sorry.
Before we wrap this one up, because we are over time, in between January and... Okay, apologies for that. We got cut off. Not quite sure where we're at, but we had a surprise phone call come in while we were videoing, which cut us right off. So where were we on there? We'll just do a quick little addendum onto this one.
In between January and GMP.
Yes, January and GMP, which was, March.
Yeah.
In January, there were 2 courses that went on. One that my son and I went to, which was about tax liens, which I learned a lot about, and then figured, no, this is not where I want to invest myself, and certainly looked like it would require a whole lot of physical time on my part being places for it to work properly. And the other one was this event, transformational workshop put on by Mark Usick, who's the partner of Paul Fink, who I'd met in December. He had his 3-day event. And so Wendy and I went down. We also met our friends from Toronto there again. Got hypnotized a little bit briefly in there. We met a few other speakers. There were some awesome things there, of which one actually, I think it was Michael Nitti, I believe, was talking about the trophy effect, which he has written a book on. And that was actually pretty cool. The basic concept of his trophy effect was that as people, we look at trophies, and we all know what trophies are, and we're going, oh, okay, so in Canada for hockey it's Stanley Cup, there could be, Grey Cup, there could be all these different things that are out there for trophies that you see as big things to award, right? Well, trophies for most people are going to be whatever achievements you've done. That's what you'd think. The reality, however, is the pieces that you focus on the most, the trophies that you keep, are not the positive ones. You might have a few in there, in your little closet, in your head, but most of them are all negative trophies. They're the, oh, I didn't make it to my kid's recital on time. Oh, I had trouble paying that bill, or oh, I missed paying my visa on time, or oh, I'm late home for dinner. Oh, my wife's gonna kill me. Right? Anything that you could get in trouble for, those are the trophies that you memorize. And so what they do is they basically, in your head, in the subconscious, they say, God, you're crap. That's terrible. You can't do anything right, blah, blah, blah. Rather than acknowledging all the good stuff you've got. Like, you know what? You made 10 people smile today. You had a good time. You took your kids out for ice cream. You got the award for the best speaker at work, or you celebrated someone's birthday. All these little things, these are all the critical trophies that you get that you never actually think about, and you never get appreciated for being the good person on. Some of them do go in here, but most of them don't. What happens is you've got all these nasty ones, and that's all you ever think about. So the idea of his trophy effect thing is like, okay, take these and throw all those trophies away and make room for the big trophies, the nice ones. This is where you do celebrate someone's birthday. You do take your wife out for a surprise anniversary dinner or something like that. Or maybe it's, you have jumped out of a plane, or there's, you've just bought a new car, something like that. So whatever's special in your head, you kind of go, oh, that's a great memory. Let's lock this one in here. And that's the idea.
Concentrating on gratitudes.
That's right.
That's right.
So
if I can just say something too, back in January, while Dave was at one of these courses, I went to go get myself my first tattoo. And I didn't tell Dave I was getting it done because he's not a big tattoo fan. But anyway, I figured, you know what? This is my life. This is my body. I can do what I want. So I got one tattoo, and I'll show it to you quickly. It's very simple, but it just says gratitude. So every day I look at my wrist and I go, oh, what have I got to be grateful for today? Even though I have a gratitude journal every morning, but during the day I'll just catch sight of it. I'm like, So that's my first tattoo. I was told that I'll want to get another one, and I'm like, nah. But I might possibly get another one at some point.
And I look at her wrist and I think graffiti. And that's what it says, graffiti. It's not gratitude at all, it's graffiti.
Well, thanks for dissing me.
But anyway, no, I have got used to the tattoo now.
I like it.
And it does mean something, and that's all that matters.
All right then, we'll go on to the next
Thank
video.
you. All right, so with that, a short little addendum that's gone on a bit long, but anyway, we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.